Michael Coggan reporting there. And I'm joined by the candidates for the seat of Solomon from the two main political parties, Natasha Griggs from the Country Liberals and the current member for Solomon, Damian Hale. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Damian Hale, political analyst Ken Parrish says internal polling showed you were dead in the water before Julia Gillard took leadership. Are you hoping that the change in Prime Minister will help you get across the line?
Well, certainly, you know, I'm not aware of any internal polling that was done, but we changed leaders and we're moving forward. So, you know, I think that Julia's started very well in the position, and going to the people and asking for a mandate from the Australian public, I think, is the correct thing to do, and throwing it open to the people of Australia.
You're a strong supporter of Kevin Rudd. You backed the wrong horse. What does that say about your judgment? Oh,
well, I think I'm just loyal. And I think Kevin was great for the Territory, and when you have a look at what was delivered in his time as Prime Minister in 2.5 short years, we can be very happy with what we got from Kevin Rudd.
Natasha Griggs, you're well known in Palmerston, where you're on the City Council, but beyond your backyard, you're a relative unknown. Palmerston holds 1/4 of the votes in Solomon, but is that enough to get you across the line?
I'm not sure, Laetita, but I think that having worked really hard for the last 7 months and door-knocked all suburbs in the electorate has put me in good stead. But Damian is the incumbent, and you know, the incumbency counts for a lot. So I do go into this race as the underdog.
And what do you see as the main issues for Solomon?
Well, through the door knocking, there's a number of issues that keep reappearing, and they are law and order, education, health, border protection, and also housing and the affordability.
Housing, law and order are very much Territory government responsibilities. What real difference could you make as a federal member in these areas, especially with the Labor government in locally?
Well, like I said, going and door knocking and being a real person that understands the issues and stands up and fights for the issues. The RAF-based issue is something that I have been fighting for, and I believe that by bringing the issue to the forefront has helped bring that attention to Canberra and making people, well, because a few months ago those houses were going to be demolished, and now that's not happening.
Well, we'll get back to that,
sure,
to that issue a little later on in the program. If
yep.
we could just change to Damian Hale, what do you see as the major issues in your electorate?
Well, I think health, education and the economy, and what people need to realise that over the last 2.5 years we've got a very good story to tell in all three. Firstly, with education, the Building the Education Revolution, which was a reaction to the global financial crisis. So there was $74 million spent on 39 schools for upgrades. And then, you know, that's very important. And of course, you know, Tony Abbott has flagged that program will be cut. When you look at the health, you know, what we've done in health, you've got the GP super clinic at Palmerston, which I inspected today, and it's coming along nicely. We've got the cancer care unit that is now open and operational.
So we have got a good story. Number of the Rudd government's successes, but the Territory is still getting a nuclear waste dump. You say you've reinstated the Racial Discrimination Act, but there is still discrimination remaining from the intervention. When it comes to pushing the Territory's case, your voice just isn't being heard, is it?
Well, I think with the nuclear waste dump, I've been very vocal. I stood up in the caucus and spoke against it. I've publicly spoken against it on all occasions, and I've noticed now that the CLP are supporting the nuclear waste dump in the comments from Nigel Scullion recently. I'm certainly against the nuclear waste dump. There is a court proceedings in place currently, so we'll see how those go. But I know that there is a lot of people that are anti the nuclear waste dump, and I'm one of them.
Natasha Griggs, you've made housing the centrepiece of your campaign. You say you have a firm commitment that a coalition government would gift the RAF base to the NT government as an entire suburb. Can you guarantee that?
Can I just start off with the gifting? We haven't talked about the specifics of the gifting. What we've said is that I have a commitment from the Country Liberal Party and also the coalition to keep the suburb as a whole and make that suburb available to Territorians.
Who gave you that commitment from the coalition?
There's a number of people that have given me that commitment, and over the coming weeks there will be a formal announcement.
Could you name one of them that have given you the commitment? I've spoken to the Minister, or the Shadow Minister for Defence, David Johnston's office today, and
yes,
they haven't been able to confirm a commitment?
Well, I have spoken to Senator Johnson's office. Is one of the people. There's about 5 or 6 people in the coalition that have given me that commitment, and there will be a formal announcement in the coming weeks.
Damian Hale, why can't you give that commitment?
Well, just on that, Natasha has been misleading in how she's represented this case. She has said that she has a commitment when she hasn't got a commitment. Senator Johnson put out a statement to say that it was an issue of concern. Now, that is hardly a commitment. It's been misleading to the Darwin public as well as those business owners. I've already spoken to Defence. I organised a meeting with Defence today with the business owners and withdrew myself from that meeting because of the fact that we're in caretaker mode, and I didn't think it was appropriate to be in that meeting to give the business owners an opportunity to put their case to Defence. At this stage, we are guided by Defence, and they tell me that they do not want the land excised. They want to remove the houses. Natasha is correct in saying what she did, that they were going to be demolished. Now they're not. They're going to be handed over to the Northern Territory government to relocate. But at no stage did Natasha, let me stress, at no stage did Natasha have a firm commitment from anyone from the Leader of the Opposition down.
Could I get a response from that?
Well, I'm not sure how Damian knows that unless he's been in the discussions with the members of the coalition, but I will reiterate I have a firm commitment from the Country Liberal Party and also the coalition.
Well, all I asked was Senator Johnson to come out and state the position, and he refused to, and unfortunately left Natasha high and dry on her biggest issue going into the election.
You're confident you have that commitment?
Absolutely. And can I just pick up on one of the comments Damian made? Senator Johnson said that it was an issue of concern, and that is because there are 102 houses sitting there vacant. Senator Johnson's actually seen those when he was up here visiting recently.
You've both had a strong focus on the economy. Natasha Griggs, in your campaign material, you say household budgets are being pushed to the limit by the big hike in the cost of living and higher interest rates. Are you saying a coalition government will bring down interest rates?
What I'm saying is that a coalition government will put in place as things pay back the debt, and when we've got the debt paid back, then that's going to relieve some of the household increases.
The RBA Governor of Monetary Policies, Glenn Stevens, says interest rates are around their average levels of the past decade. Is his assessment incorrect?
What we'll be doing is we'll be taking advice from the RBA, and you know, they're the ones that make the monetary policy, and we'll be guided by them.
Damian Hale, you've also focused on the economy, telling Territorians a coalition government will rip hundreds of millions of dollars from Territory schools and infrastructure projects. What's that statement based on?
Well, the fact that Tony Abbott's made it very clear that he'll wind back the BER projects. He will not have a national broadband network. He will cut back on trade training centres in schools. He will not put in another GP super clinic. These are all programs that were put in place during the global financial crisis, and I really don't think Tony Abbott gets it, that the Northern Territory, we're still in our infancy. We still require this type of investment into the Northern Territory. Now, a vote for Tony Abbott will mean that those programs are cut. A vote for Julia Gillard is that those programs will be seen through till the end of next year, which is the period of stimulus that we really do need.
Can I just get a response for that? You were saying that you won't be ripping out the hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's right. With the we'll be honouring some of the programs that are some of the programs that are already in place. Some of them with the BER funding that's been has been announced. We won't be cutting those. What we'll be doing is we'll be giving the money to the principals and the school councils, and they'll be the ones that are running those programs, not the bureaucracy. So there should be some, stopping of the school hall rip-off as being claimed.
So can you guarantee that the Territory won't be worse off financially under CLP?
Absolutely. I mean, Tony Abbott he's very dear to the Territory. He's been to the Territory a number of times and spends a lot of time in some of the communities, and he knows how important this funding is to the Territory, but we're not just about to go and run off and spend lots and lots of money unnecessarily. And just on the cutting of the the computers for schools and things. Well, they were initiatives that Damian promised, and then they're up to him to deliver in this term, not up to us. I mean, they're old things that he committed to.
Have you failed to deliver on those things in your term?
Not at all. I think Natasha, once again, is being misleading, because really, how can anyone trust anything Tony Abbott says? By his own admission, he said that he, you know, you can't really trust me. Sometimes I might be gospel Tony, and other times he's phony Tony.
But Natasha's saying that this is something, that a commitment you should have delivered on.
Over the period of the last 3 years, we have delivered very much more into health and education. We have been able to stabilise the economy during the global financial crisis through stimulus measures. It has been shown around the world that by withdrawing stimulus too early, economies have gone into recession.
Neither of you have mentioned Indigenous affairs, the intervention, welfare, quarantining, homelessness. Natasha Griggs, why haven't you tackled these big issues?
Well, we're into sort of day 4 of the campaign. There's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to be talking about, and the homelessness is one of those things that we're talking about, and that sort of ties in with the housing. There's many more announcements to be made, and will be made over the coming weeks.
Homelessness statistics show that the Territory has 5 times the national rate of homelessness. That's
right. I mean, I was alarmed when I was hearing that people have got good jobs, but they can't afford to live, or they can't get housing and are living in their cars.
And what are your plans to address homelessness? Generally?
Well, one of the things is making more houses available, and I guess that's why I've really been pushing this issue with the RAF base. It's the fact that there's 102 houses sitting there now currently vacant. I mean, to me, that's just ridiculous.
Damian Hale, is your silence on these issues a sign of a shift in values or priorities?
No, not at all. Tony Abbott's got no credibility when it comes to talking about homeless. He was a cabinet minister for 12 years. They didn't even have a minister looking after homelessness. We have a housing minister in Tanya Plevisek. We've put money into the Northern Territory recently in transitional housing being built at Berrima, additional housing with St Vinny's, working with crisis accommodation in Coconut Grove. We've also spent money in refurbishing accommodation in the YMCA.
Well, you've had 3 years. What is it that you're planning to do looking forward to address the issue?
Well, I think with the houses on the RAF base that Natasha spoke about, I think there is scope there to be used locally, and certainly the conversations I've had with the Chief Minister, I've put forward that these houses could be relocated to places like Bagot and Nucky's Lagoon and Palmerston Indigenous Village, because they've been very patient during the during the way that things have rolled out in the communities, and the Bagot people and the Nucky's people I've spoken to on numerous occasions, and we're trying to work towards doing something to alleviate some of their problems.
If I could just get a response to that.
I was just going to say, it's the same thing with Damian saying that, you know, at the last election he was going to fix the rental crisis in Solomon, and clearly that hasn't happened. The rents, the median price for rents now are $500, which is very different to what they were in 2007 when he was going to fix the housing crisis then. We
also, just on that, I'll pick up on something Natasha said, that, you know, in Lyons and Muirhead we committed 185 new homes through Stimulus 2 to go to defence families, in order to take defence families out of that private market, in order to help bring that down. And what I will note too also is the rental affordability scheme, which we put forward as well, to get people to sign on for a 20% less return in the public sector, and topped up by the government. Not one developer took up that program. So we had money there, but not one developer took it up.
But I think that's because the criteria for the Territory didn't cater for that, because the number of houses to be built was 1,000 or something, which was just no developer's going to be able to do that in the Territory.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Natasha Griggs, Damian Hale, thank you for your time.
Thank you.